What if I told you that when it comes to saving, your teen has more TikTok dances saved than they do dollar bills for emergencies? A new study shows that 1 in 4 Gen Zers would max out their credit card whenever they run into any sort of crisis, as opposed to figuring out how to deal with it another way. As someone who teaches financial literacy to teens of high income families, you can make the income, but without the habit, emergencies become debt traps and they get stuck forever. In this video, I'll break down why teens default to debt during emergencies and show you 3 proven strategies to build real resilience before your money has to do it for you. Let's get into it. All right, we'll try to keep this short and sweet. There's young adults, too, maybe you too, as the adult, are bad, notoriously bad at keeping emergency savings. Me, myself, I used to think that, ooh, I don't really need emergency savings. I'll do whatever I want with my money, whether it be spending it or investing it. And I have credit cards. So if I run into a problem, I'll use my credit card to handle whatever that expense is. And then over time, I'll pay it back with my regular paychecks. The problem with this thinking is, since you didn't have the money when you went ahead and charged that emergency, let's say your emergency costs $3,000, right? How do you plan on paying that back if you weren't saving that money in the first place, right? Because if you were already saving that money, it proves that you had that buffer window of money available to fix that thing. But if you're not living that kind of lifestyle, you're living a way to where you're spending all your dollars and you're living paycheck to paycheck, you'll never get to a spot to where you could instantly pay back that $3,000. So that's the problem. That's why we're going to work on small things you can do with your team to help them build out an emergency fund from scratch. And maybe you can take some of these tips and put them into your own life. All right. So, action 1, build the first dollar emergency fund. Okay. The way you do this is start early. Automate a small recurring transfer of at least $5 to $10 into an emergency jar or a teen saving account. Right. This is just getting them to do it. Make sure it's automated. So necessarily you don't need to have it and you don't have to lecture them on it. It's just boop, 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 set this up. All right, this money is going here. You're aware that it's there. We're doing this, every week, every month, regardless, because it's automated. Right. Action 2, run a simulated emergency. Right. So you can use Play Money, open up your Monopoly set. If you don't have a Monopoly set, you're wrong. Go get a Monopoly set. Every family needs a Monopoly set because, 1, it's the best board game ever created. 2, it'll teach you real life money skills, right? An easy way that I instruct people on real estate is, okay, you like renting, you don't want to buy a house. Sure. You ever play Monopoly? Try to go play a game of Monopoly, renting the entire game. Don't buy nothing. And let me know how that game goes. Anyways, back on topic, right? So, simulate an emergency. Give your teen a fake scenario, either it be a broke car, flat tire, phone broke, whatever, other things that happen to teens, first world problems. And along with the funds, ask them to decide, uh, make them decide what they're going to do with it. This teaches decision making under pressure. So, easy thing, my teen, he's starting to learn how to drive. So it's like, okay, this happens, get a little job, start to earn some money, boom, your tire blows out. I already know the first thing you're going to do. First thing you're going to do is come back to me. So just scratch that out. All right. Now, and your mom and any family, you're not allowed to ask anyone to fix this for you, right? Now, what do you do? And let them work through that. They're probably not going to have any idea, because I remember when I was a teen, whenever something bad would happen, I'd have no idea what I would do. Then I would start to go through the mental gymnastics of figuring it out. And then I would go do something and hopefully it was the right thing. So if you can go ahead and do these exercises now and have your team do those mental gymnastics early, the second that emergency happens, it's like, oh, I already planned this out. Yeah, I'm doing this, this, and that. That's a good activity. So action number 3 is normalize credit as a last resort, not the first option. The bad thing about having money, or the bad thing about having credit, is you have it. So the second anything happens, your first thought is to go and use whatever that money is. Your first thought is to go and use whatever that credit is. A great exercise I like to use is, what would I do if I didn't have it? So even like I get emergency savings, I try my darndest not to ever use the emergency savings. I have it, and I know I have it specifically for emergencies, but when an emergency happens, I try to pay for that emergency or figure out a way to do it without touching my emergency savings. I hate touching my emergency savings. Just recently, when my ceiling fell in my daughter's room, I had the money to pay my deductible, to buy a new water heater, to do all the stuff, but I didn't feel like spending that much money out of my emergency savings. So I did everything I could to figure out how to, move some money around, have some other stuff work out to where I could use as little as possible out of my emergency savings because that's less I have to replenish to get it back to where I like it. But yeah, so teach your teen that credit is a tool, right? It's not a safety net. It's not going to magically fix everything. It will for the moment, but it's going to hurt you on the back end and you're going to end up paying more overall because that's how interest works. Walk through real numbers, interest rates, snowballing debt, and how even a $1,000 emergency can double over time if you keep making minimum payments on it, right? So now imagine you have a teen who's managing their own savings. They're confidently buffering surprises without tapping into debt. And they're doing it by choice, not by chance, right? And they're not going to you for every single problem. Uh, if they stick to their old habits, emergencies turn into credit crisis, late fees, high interest, loss of peace, and none of it was ever necessary. So, in closing, at Mammoth Money Academy, we train teens and their parents on how to build out these emergency savings, how to, even when you build out the emergency savings, not even have to use it, right? We go over all these things in the course because these are real world problems and that's what we're tailored to. So click the link in the description, join it. I'll see you there.